Hello YouTubers, this is Triple Valve 62 at the depot and welcome to the video today. Thanks for all your kind comments and also your thumbs up and watching the latest underground stuff on the YouTube channel there. Fantastic, love it. And thanks for also visiting the depot today. You're always welcome and there is never a last train. A train is always available. Anyway, as you can see from the camera shot in front, it's an underground video. And there's quite a couple of you on the YouTube channel here that have been viewing the videos of the underground stuff, and also a couple of you commenting about the 62 stock simulator, the cab section that I've self-built and designed myself, and haven't seen it for a while. Have you still got it? What you've been up to with it? Is it still there? The answer is yes, it's very much alive and well, and I'm going to do a video about that today and show you a few little upgrades on it and some little ideas that I've been doing with it. So without further ado, let's take you on a tour of the TARDIS, aka my 62 stock cab simulator. Okay, here we go then. This is a guided tour around my TARDIS, aka my self-designed 1962 stock cutaway cab section that I designed myself, incorporating the original mechanical and operational parts from an actual 1962 stock car, actually two, driving motor car 1678 and 1679, originally of 1962 stock. So the reason behind this, people call it a monstrosity, but I love it. I call it the TARDIS. Basically, the reason I designed this or built it was because, like everything else in life, whether it's model railways or you restore a car or a motorbike or whatever you do in life, in terms of restoration, you do it because you have a vision and because you have a passion for something. And I always wanted to own a cab or a complete 1962 stock, which was both financially and physically impossible and impractical at the time, and I couldn't do it. However, I thought, well, how about I approach the London Transport Museum and find out how do I get the bits and pieces off it and basically build everything around it and recreate one of their simulators they had in the London Transport Museum. My favourite was the 1938 tube stock simulator cab section. It had a section of cab section on both sides, on the offside and driver's side, and it had a little bit of saloon in the back as well. And adjacent to that cab section, just across from it, suspended in a clear aluminium and perspex construction frame, was the PCM unit for it. And basically, when you notched up the dead man's handle master controller, it operated the camshaft motor on it, and it was fantastic. You can operate the dead man's handle and do lots of things with it. But my basis was I always wanted to own something like that. But obviously financial reasons and lots of other reasons I could never do it. So I thought, how about I design one myself? So what you're seeing here is something that I've designed. It isn't 100% perfect, but it gives the impression of a tube train, or certainly a cab of a tube train. And from the outside, when people walk in my front door, they think, what the heck is that? And it's a little bit strange to the appearance until you come around the other side. So I'll take you around it now. And on the back of it, this is the original inside of one of the driver's control box panels from the cab that would sit behind the driver on the left hand side. As you can see, all the wires have been severed. When I originally removed this item from car number 1678 down at Shoeburyness in 2001, it was August 2001, that's when I actually removed this before they went up to Booths of Rotherham for scrap. And all of the parts you're going to see on this are from car number 1678 and 1679. And right next door to it, we've got the guards panel from car number 1679, 62 tube stock. It didn't look like this. I wish I'd taken some photographs of it when I actually got it home. It was actually in an appalling state. It wasn't like this. So it's been lovingly restored, and all the chrome work I've actually cleaned up. With some white spirit and some wire wool, owls on it with a wire brush originally, and I managed to do as best I can with these buttons and get them back to nigh on original condition. There's a little bit of scratches and scuff on the the chrome work in bits and pieces, as you'll see. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about that because it's a very, very old piece of equipment. However, it's in pretty good nick, and I'm very pleased about it. I actually managed to get it and preserve a piece of history. So I'm sure many of you out there who travelled by underground train as kids and as young people will remember the 62 stock, and also will remember these things, the guards panels, where they used to have a guard at the back of the train in the days when London Transport and had two-man crews. And as a kid, I always wanted to press these buttons when I was on the train. Even though the guard was at the rear of the train and I was sitting in the first car, every driving car, 4 of them on a 62, you'd have a set of these buttons at the end of the gangway, and I always wanted to press them. So obviously when I got one of these, I was like, finally, I can finally press these buttons without no one telling me off. So there we go. At some point I'm going to get this louder phone unit to actually work. The wiring inside is complete. I might connect it up with the louder phone unit inside the cab or something like that. Obviously in those days it didn't have Bluetooth, it was all hardwired and solid state equipment. Loads of Bakelite as well. The great thing about this panel is that some of it actually works. I've managed to play around with it and experiment with different things, and I managed to get the pilot light to work. So if I randomly press the cutout button here, the indoor cutout button, it serves a new purpose, because if I push that like that, the pilot light comes on. And obviously the idea behind this is when the guard would open the train doors on his or her panel, obviously this light would go out and all the doors would open. And also when the train was moving, if ever the guard lost his pilot light, it would mean there was a sticky door somewhere and the motors would drop out. But the great thing about it is, this is the original bulb that I found inside this panel when it was removed in 2001 down at Shoebury Nest from car number 1679. It still had its original Osram bulb inside, and that is the original bulb inside there that I have, touch wood, never changed. The other thing that works on this is the infamous signal bell, and it's this button here, which once all the doors were closed and the guard got his pilot light, then he would press this button and it would ring a bell on the cab, like so. And then the motorman, good old motorman, would start the train and it would be away. So moving on just around the corner, you come around here, we go into the cab itself, and there we go. So we have got a cab door put on there now. It's meant to replicate a cab door, and what I'll do, I'll just show you how this all works. Obviously we've got a monitor there, display monitor in the window. Several things I've done on this I'll show you. The power supply for this, it's mains voltage at 240 for the monitor, and the guards panel works off a 16 volt AC and a 12 volt DC circuit for the bell. And the bell is up here in the cab. This bell originally came from eBay. It came out of a Daimler double-decker bus up in Yorkshire, and the starter bells on all of the older tube stocks, like the 38s and even the standard stock, and they had larger gongs. This gong, as you can see here, is much more smaller, and they had a very strange microwave oven ping to them. If you ever remember the sound of the bell on the 62s and 59s, they had a microwave ping. So I think this sounds pretty much like similar to a 62 stock starting bell. Very similar. So that's what I did. I've got one of those bells. The mounting plate, I just cut a bit of offcut of wood there and just painted it, drilled the holes for the wiring, ran the wiring down inside to the guards panel, and the rest of it along, as you can see there. Wiring's not fantastic, I know, but it does the job. And just ran it all the way down there, and as you can see, all my bits and pieces are behind there in terms of wiring. It's a bit of a mess, but it doesn't really notice because you're not going to see the back of this. So the basic wiring, as you can see, the monitor is on a hinged bracket type fitting, kind that you get from most electrical places for televisions and things like that, monitors. I just managed to secure that to the wall of my staircase, which is plasterboard, which is nice and soft, but holds it to the required dimensions. And it sits behind there, and it's flush to the rear of the window, or dummy window. And then obviously on the other side, there's your driver's view. Power supply, as mentioned, all I've done is very simplified things. I've got a little plug board here. The large plug on the far left is for the 12 volt 16 volt slash transformer. It's a Hornby Railways model railway controller, the type you get with the train set, and I've got loads of those upstairs. So basically I used one of those and it was perfect for the job, because I didn't want to go anything too silly in terms of voltage, because you've got to remember your health and safety, and you don't want to get zapped by nothing untoward. So anyway, moving across to the plug board, and we've got the plug next to it is for the television monitor, and this white one here, if I turn that on, that's telling me that's live now. It's got power going through it, and I'll show you what that's for in a minute. And the one next to it is a recent upgrade, which I'll show you that as well. So the one that's lit up at the moment, it powers the direct feed into this button here, and it says cab lights off and on. And guess what? If I push this button now, we've got a cab light. So there's our cab light. I designed that and obviously put that in myself. Dead easy to do. Just got a bayonet fitting from B&Q, any hardware store. Stuck that in the top, drilled and mounted it. Small little bulb in there, and it gives us a nice warm cosy little cab light to while away the hours when we're going to and from Ruislip each night. I managed to print off the internet this old retro leaflet poster from Metro and Camel, announcing the 769 cars brand new for the Piccadilly and Central lines at the time. About 1961-62 that would have been that poster. And it's got the details on there, the manufacturer and things like that. Adds a little bit of character and authenticity, I think, to the simulator, because these would have been the beasts that would have owned this equipment. So just give you a little tour of the TARDIS. So there's my old motorman's cap, courtesy of Mr. Bostock, with the original motorman's badge on the front there, which I scored from eBay. And if you had one of these that were white, the white bit in the middle instead of red, that denoted that you were platform staff, I think, or a guard, and the red one denoted motorman. These labels I designed myself off, just basically printed them up off the computer, stuck them on there. That one in there, you always have one of those. So there's our speedo. That's our air gauge that sadly will not register any air anymore. So moving on to the upgrades, as I said, I've got something interesting to show you in terms of, you might have seen this on YouTube before. There is an older video of this one I did a few years ago, and it didn't have the monitor in the front, and it didn't have bits and pieces. So firstly, this bit underneath here, if you look at online at some cab shots of the real prototype, they had this bit underneath, and if you look at my previous videos, it's not there. This I recently put in. It's just basically this curved section here that fits right underneath this cabinet. There would have been like a Bakelite type small switch here. I believe that was for something. I'm not sure what that was for. Some of you out there might be able to answer that question for me, I'm sure. Mr. Andrews, maybe Mr. Griffiths. Certainly there was a little switch there, so that was something I'm going to maybe incorporate at a later time, but I just wanted to get this bit here flush on there, so it gives the right appearance, and I think that sort of achieves that quite well. So all that was done, basically what I did, I just got a simple shelving unit from B&Q, and you get the brackets that go on the end of the shelves. All I did was basically got one bracket here, another bracket there. They're the same sort of curved shape that I was after, and then just got a bit of offcut of wood, flush that on the top there. And this basically, believe it or not, is card. And just basically cut it to size and just pinned and screwed it to the two brackets, and then painted the whole thing, glued it and everything, and there we go. So that's that little bit finished on the bottom there, which I think looks quite good. The other thing as well is, I was going to talk to you about that mysterious plug, the last plug on the end there, the black one. That is my upgrade, because now we have PC speakers. So we've got one PC speaker there, and the other one, as you can hear happily buzzing away there, is up there. And what it does, it actually gives me a louder audio on the original speakers that are built into the monitor. They weren't very loud, unfortunately, but this one you can really crank it up and annoy everyone. So I can definitely see myself going through the tunnels of a night time and things like that, but it gives it the real sort of sound, and more importantly it gives you a little bit of a three-dimensional sound, because when you're sitting or standing in here and you've got the cab light out and you've got the sound going, which I'll show you shortly, it is quite loud and it is quite effective. And again, in the London Transport Museum's version, they had a speaker mounted inside, or two inside the cab, one I think on the floor somewhere behind something. They had an old Ardstock, our COCP cab section that used to do that, I believe, and those that you might remember that. So that's the speakers. And also I want to show you this as well. I did this actually 2 nights ago. This is really good, I'm pleased with this. This thing here is the old control governor switch, I believe, and what it is, basically this would enable all of the electrical stuff on this end of the train to be opened up, so everything from this cab would basically work from the front of the train. So it'd be basically, the driver would operate this switch here with a key, and also across the way on the master brake controller you've got an identical type opening valve there. And what I did with this is quite simply how I made this. I was a huge fan of Blue Peter. For those that you remember Blue Peter years ago, here's one I made earlier out of an old sticky back plastic washing up liquid bottle type thing. This round drum turret thing was made out of an old cotton bud container, and all I'd done basically was kept the lid on it, reversed it, took the cardboard plate off the bottom, and then just cut a slot in it for the driver's control key. And what I did recently, I put a large threaded bolt, drilled it through there, and what I've done, I've put, you might be able to see this or not, I'm not sure, but there's two large square plates that I've actually welded together on the thread with a nut either side. So there's one either side furthest and one either side outside as well, and there's also a nut in the middle, so they're sandwiched between these two square washers in there. You might not see that, I'm not sure if you can pick it up, it's a bit tight in there, but you can see one of the square washers there, and they act like two plates together, and sandwiched in between that is a nut. And basically the nut is going to fit, or should fit, I'm sure if I can do this with one hand, excuse me a minute. He's locked it. There we are. Bit tricky to do that with one hand and one hand on the camera, but there we go. If we open up my handset box, my driver's handset box. By the way, just a quick chat on this. This is the original Bluetooth of yesteryear. Basically, this old telephone handset. Basically, you clip these two prongs on two wires. If you ever go through a tube tunnel on the underground, you will see on the wall, besides loads of cables going along the wall, you'll see two very thin copper wires. And what they used to do was clip these two prongs onto the wires, and that would give the train driver or motorman a direct connection with the line controller. So it was a portable telephone, and then you could obviously speak to the line controller, report a problem, order his bacon sarnie at the end of the road or whatever. But that's basically how it would work. And I got this one from eBay. This is my second handset. My first one, unfortunately, I gave away. Well, I was forced to give away as a young man by my mother, which was a very foolish thing to do. But this one I found on eBay a while ago, actually about 2 or 3 years ago, I'm not sure. It's quite recent, and this one is actually in mint condition. It's actually far better than my original one, and this one's in mint condition. And this I've restored by just simply painting these brackets, or these plates on each corner that protect it from damage. And this is really history. This is vintage. This is. I love all this stuff. Look at this cushion material inside, and the colour of it is really retro. And inside, obviously, is your handset. The old style BT handsets. It's got a number on there. Take it out. You can have a look. This one is LT, London Transport, and it's 3447, and they all had a unique number. What else have we got in here? Oh, we've got a fuse. This is original 62 stock 30 amp fuse. I need to replace that every time the mother-in-law comes around. Mother-in-law jokes, don't go there. Right, so that's my handset. And the purpose of opening that up, obviously, was to show you inside. Obviously, we're going to need a reverser key, which is one of them, and also we're going to need the control key, which is one of these. Now, as mentioned, put that over there, on the control governor, there's a nut, as mentioned, sandwiched in between those two large square washers. Unfortunately, the control key, it's like a spanner almost, it didn't quite fit the sides of the nuts there. So basically what I had to do was just file it down with a hand file, just basically file the ends off that a little bit, and what it does, it now goes, as you can see on that key, there's two little notches welded on the other side there, and in reality there was two slots exactly as I've cut them on the prototype. And what you do, where it says close and open, I might have got those in the wrong way round. If I have, please let me know. You put it in there like so, in the slot, and it fits in there, and then basically turn it to that way, you can open up the circuit. So once the driver would have done that, he would have come across, got his reverser key, stuck it in there, and he would have opened it up like that, and you've heard all the air rush into the master brake controller, and also the train line there and the train pipe there as well. And then it would come up, and then these buttons here, you would have obviously set these like you've got your headlights, destination and gauge lights. The control governor, this cover here normally had, a lead seal or a bit of wire screwed through there, which I probably might do. This was to protect anyone from basically isolating it. These buttons are a little bit worn, as you can see, but sadly these are going to be about as good as they're going to get. But the main thing is you can still read what they're for. Probably excuse me. Probably what I'm going to do is actually repaint some of these buttons just to brighten them up a little bit, and just to give them a little bit more colour. So moving across to the business end of the simulator. Here we've got the famous dead man's handle, and we've got all the different bits on there. You've got full on, which is parallel series, an inch for shunting or slow movement, and then you've got the off position, which is there. It's not actually written on there, but oh yes it is actually. You can just about see it underneath the notch there, and it says off. I'm going to make that out on there. And then coming across here, you've got the reverser turret, which is basically, this is your select your direction, forward 1, forward 2. You've got the off position and reverse. Forward 1 normally was used for when you had wet rail or greasy rail conditions. so you didn't get wheel spin. You could put it in select forward 1 and you could move quite slower and get a head start. And obviously moving across, you've got the good old master brake controller. It's set in hold at the moment. And obviously with this inside here, there's a little valve, or a little contact should I say, electrical contact, that I was playing one day with some 16 volt auxiliary current, just playing around with it with the wires inside and touching different wires and see what wire does what and if anything happened. I found out that if you put the master brake controller handle into the release position, it drops out a little relay like so, and I thought that was really cool. And then when you apply it, it comes on. And I just love that sound. I love anything mechanical, so whether that's the proper function for that or not, I'm not sure, but I just liked it, so I incorporated that into the operation. So anyway, I suppose you guys want to see this thing in action, so I'll shut up now and just let the video speak for itself. Okay? So, what we'll do, I've got the volume set pretty high, so you'll probably be able to appreciate the better sound quality on this. So here we go. Let's take a ride down to Wanstead, shall we?
Ground level as we descend into the final section of tube tunnel. Originally ran from Ilford. This connection between Leytonstone and Newbury Park was started in the 1930s and, being unfinished at the outbreak of the Second World War, was used as a long, narrow but bomb-proof factory. It eventually opened to trains in December 1947. Ceramic roundels on the platform at Wanstead are a pleasing 1940s application of the London Transport corporate image. The centre tunnel is the access to White City Depot. On leaving White City, our eastbound train passes the abandoned platform of the subsequently revised Wood Lane station. Now we enter the main tube tunnel section of 10 miles to Stratford. Nowadays, drivers can see where they're going due to the provision of headlights. Before then, they used to operate totally in the dark. It's worth noting that this is an actual tube tunnel, as opposed to a tunnel built by cut-and-cover methods, much as on the District and Circle lines. The tube tunnels are 11 feet 8 inches in diameter and were bored out of the ground by tunnelling machines. As we pass the site of a one-time crossover, we enter Shepherd's Bush, the original terminus of the Central London Railway, inaugurated in 1900, with a 5 3/4 mile line between here and Bank. The stairs on the right at the end of the platform lead to the 4 pumps, which are in operation continuously to keep the tunnels at this point dry from a nearby underground stream. The twin aspect signals showing 2 greens follow standard LUL practice. The top aspect applies now, and the bottom is a repeater for the next signal. You'll notice that many of the stations have had additional length added to the platforms. This is more clearly seen in the size of the overall bore, which is slightly larger. This extra length allowed the original 6-coach trains to be strengthened firstly to 7 and since to 8. Incidentally, the original trains were hauled by separate electric locomotives. These were replaced by multiple units within the first 5 years due to a variety of factors, including excessive vibration and the need for rapid turnaround at termini. Weaving sinuously beneath the streets of Notting Hill, we come to rest at the first major interchange for the Circle and District line. Notting Hill Gate Station was rebuilt during 1959 and 1960. Every section of tube tunnel on the London Underground is provided with lighting which is switched on before the passage of the last train at night and is switched off after the first train the following morning. As you can see, for some reason, one section of lights has been left on beyond Notting Hill. goes briefly northwest en route to Leighton, following roughly the course taken by the steam line on the surface, which carried passengers beyond Stratford towards Woodford until 1947. You may notice from time to time a white triangle such as this with 3 lights. These indicate whether the traction current is on. Surfacing at Leighton, the Central Line now adopts the route of the former Great Eastern Railway all the way to Ongar. Leighton is a typical Great Eastern suburban station, built with generous platform canopies, which here, as on all former mainline stations, have been well maintained by London Underground. Already, parts for new line-side cable trunking are stacked at the trackside, ready for installation under the Central Line modernisation programme, known as the 2000 project.
There comes Paul
The former
Andrews.
goods yard and land to the left of Leytonstone Station is destined to be obliterated by a rerouting of the A12 trunk road, which will run within 6 feet of the signal cabin.
This one's on a 73.
This is where the eastbound Aldwych line converges. The branch came about as the result of 2 separate schemes proposed for the area. The Great Northern and Strand had been projected to run directly south of Holborn, underneath Aldwych to terminate at Surrey Street, providing pedestrian connection to Temple on the District Railway. With this and the Brompton and Piccadilly coming together at Holborn, the original course of the Great Northern was opened as a short branch line. After Holborn, the line is gradually climbing towards Finsbury Park. from Holborn. Calling only at King's Cross and Holloway Road, it was time to reach Finsbury Park in 10 minutes, where it connected with a GNR suburban train. The service started in October 1907 and incidentally originated from Aldwych when that branch opened in November. It ran for precisely 1 year before the experiment was scrapped. Not daunted, in 1909 another experiment was instigated. This took the form of speeding up services by missing out alternate stations on alternate services, as had been tried out on the City and South London Tube. Overall journey time was reduced to 28 minutes end-to-end compared to the previous 36 minutes. Another spate of non-stop running began in 1930 between Finsbury Park and King's Cross. This lasted for 17 years, but was finally abandoned in 1947. Here at King's Cross there are two junctions. The first is a simple crossover for reversing purposes, but the second is a connection with the Northern Line, built in 1927, to allow the then Hampstead tube stock access to the Piccadilly and thence to Acton Works. Nowadays it's used more regularly by ballast trains from Ruislip Depot. Notice the wooden blocks in place in the anti-suicide pit, the work being the reason for the temporary 10-mile-an-hour speed restriction. King's Cross.
Okay, hope everyone at home enjoyed the video and it answered a few questions in terms of the simulator and it working and different bits and pieces on it, maybe that you wanted to see and didn't see before. I hope this video was able to help you out and provide you with the information. Certainly seeing this thing, more of it. Okay, so this is the recent update for the TARDIS, aka my 62 stock cab simulator, and I'm going to book off now and have a cup of tea. So I'm going to the mess room. Done my duty for the day. See you later. Have a good one. And this is Triple Valve 62 at the depot, saying mind the doors and have a great day. Ta-da, darling.